A compassionate nurse named Anna was just wrapping off a lengthy shift to the hospital. She came across a patient named Tom one evening who appeared apprehensive and uneasy. She sat with him for a short while and used reassuring words to ease his anxiety. She had no idea how drastically this small deed of kindness would alter her life. She was shocked to see an enigmatic note on her car hours later. "Welcome to Mystic Tales, everyone. I'm thrilled to tell you a brand new tale today called, Let's Begin." At a busy city hospital, Anna worked as a nurse. She has been employed there for more than 5 years. Her days were long and full with never-ending duties, and the burden of patient care frequently followed her home from work. She had been experiencing more physical and mental exhaustion than normal lately. She nevertheless always tried to be polite and considerate to each patient. She was getting ready to depart one evening after a particularly trying shift when she saw Tom. A middle-aged man sat by himself in the room's corner. His hands were shaking, and his eyes were filled with concern. Tom was nervously awaiting test results that would alter his course in life. It was obvious that his worries were getting the better of him. Even though Anna had already completed her task for the day, she hesitated because of Tom's uneasiness. She smiled warmly as she walked slowly toward him. With a gentle yet comforting tone, she said, "Hey, how are you feeling?" Tom raised his head, doubt shining in his eyes. He paused for a second before continuing. Tom said, "I'm just scared. I have no idea what will happen." Anna took a seat next to him and listened for a while. She was aware of the anxiety that accompanied anticipating test results. Throughout her work, she had witnessed it numerous times. She simply stayed with him and spoke a few words of consolation to help him feel less anxious. She put a hand on his shoulder and murmured, "It's acceptable to feel afraid. You don't have to face whatever comes your way alone. Here, you're in capable hands." Tom gently nodded as he processed what she had said. His facial tightness appeared to slightly lessen. He grinned for the first time that night, even if it was only briefly. In order to divert his attention from the waiting, Anna spoke with him on trivial topics for the next few minutes, such as his family and favorite pastimes. She felt pleased about having even a modest impact on Tom's evening, but she had to depart after a time. Anna considered how tiny deeds of kindness may occasionally have a greater impact than she had previously recognized as she left the hospital. It was only a little chat to her, but to Tom, it might have been just what he needed right then. She had no idea how this small act would turn into something far more significant that evening. She had no idea how her life will change in the near future. Anna experienced a slight wave of relief after leaving the hospital. As she made her way to the parking lot, the streets were still and the night air was cold. Even though her shift had been lengthy, she felt somewhat at ease knowing that she had helped someone, even for a brief while, with their anxieties. Moments like these served as a reminder to her of the initial motivation behind her decision to become a nurse. Anna saw something strange when she got to her car. Beneath the windshield wiper was a little, folded piece of paper. She initially believed it might be a parking ticket, but upon closer inspection, she saw it wasn't. It was a straightforward memo with no formal marks. She looked around the deserted parking lot and hesitated for a moment. There was nobody else. She carefully removed the note from the windshield, opened it, and read the contents. Though brief, the words left her speechless. "I appreciate your generosity. You're not aware of how much it meant." No name was given. No signature. Only those few words, written in an unfamiliar handwriting. For a time, Anna stood there with her heart pounding. She was curious as to who had left the note. Was Tom the one? Did she assist someone else that day? She was both moved and perplexed by the idea that someone had taken the time to leave this message. Her thoughts started to race with potentialities as she sat in her car. Why would someone leave this note for her? How could she have earned it? She remembered what she had said to Tom. He appeared sincere in his appreciation of her words and time. However, this note felt different, as if it had a deeper meaning. Suddenly, The parking lot silence felt more oppressive. While driving home, Anna's mind was racing with questions about the note's mystery. She couldn't get rid of the impression that this wasn't merely a token gesture of appreciation. Something more was at play here, something she wasn't yet aware of. Anna couldn't stop thinking about the note for the following few days. The more she considered it, the more enigmatic the seemingly straightforward gesture looked. No hints were found as to who had left it. Although it felt strange to bring it up, she considered asking her coworkers whether they had seen anything. It was only a thank you message, after all. Or was it? Anna carried on with her routine as the days went by. She saw scores of patients every day during her hectic shifts at the hospital. Occasionally, though, her thoughts would return to Tom. How was he doing, she wondered. Has he received his test results back? Did he feel better? Then, after yet another long shift, an odd incident occurred one evening. Anna saw a familiar scene as she made her way outside to her car. Once more, a message was hidden beneath her windshield wiper. As she got closer to the car, her heart skipped a beat. With unsteady hands, she picked up the note and rapidly unfolded it. This time, the brief message left her even more perplexed. Remain kind. Soon you'll see why. Anna's thoughts were racing as she gazed at the note. What was meant by this? Was it sent by the same individual? Was it Tom once more? Or another person? The mystery grew deeper, and now it felt like something more significant was taking place than a simple thank you. However, what? Anna couldn't help but feel increasingly uneasy as she drove home that evening. The note nearly appeared to be a warning or a message to get her ready for something. However, for what purpose? Why her too? She made the decision to keep the second note to herself, at least for the time being. Before drawing any judgments, she wanted to see if anything else occurred. She sensed something was coming, though, deep inside. Simply put, she had no idea what it was or how it would impact her life. After a week, Anna still hadn't told anyone about the notes. She began to question whether or not she was overanalyzing the situation. Perhaps it wasn't even intended for her directly, or perhaps it was simply someone being kind. However, that doubt persisted in her thoughts, and she continued to get the odd impression that something else was happening. Then, one evening during yet another shift at the hospital, an unforeseen circumstance occurred once more. She noticed something strange right away as she was making her way to her car. It wasn't just a note this time. A tiny box, nicely wrapped with a plain ribbon, was perched on the hood of her vehicle. Anna's heart pounded. She looked around the parking lot, but there was nobody there as before. Only the distant buzz of traffic from the surrounding road could be heard in the silence. Unsure what she would discover within, she carefully opened the package after picking it up. A little silver necklace with a heart-shaped pendant was inside the box. It was simple, but wonderfully personal. And there was another note hidden beneath the necklace. Like the others, this one was cryptic. You don't realize how much you're doing. Continue being yourself. As Anna read the message, her hands began to shake. These presents and letters were left by whom? Why were they giving her so much attention? The words were eerie, yet meaningful at the same time. Now it was obvious that whoever it was keeping a careful eye on her. Despite the necklace's beauty, Anna couldn't get rid of the uneasy feeling she had. Was this a gesture of appreciation from someone? Or was there more to it? She remembered Tom once more. Was he responsible for all of this? However, he didn't seem to be the kind to leave gifts and cryptic notes. Anna's mind kept racing as she laid in bed that night. Everything felt too weird, including the letters and the necklace. She considered informing someone, perhaps a friend or a colleague, but she was hesitant. How could she possibly say anything? That gifts and mysterious notes were being left for her. Even she thought it sounded strange. However, it was evident that this was no longer a coincidence. Someone was making a special effort to message her. Additionally, it seemed as though the message was developing toward something. Simply put, Anna had no idea what that item was or when it would occur. Even though she kept thinking about the enigmatic notes and the necklace, Nothing more happened for a few more days. Anna made an effort to resume her regular schedule, concentrating on her work and the people in need of her care. However, the unresolved questions continued to nag at the back of her mind. Then, one night following yet another exhausting shift, she ended up back in the hospital parking lot. Her heart fell as she got closer to her automobile. Something much more disturbing was in store for her this time. There was a lengthy letter taped to her windshield, and instead of a little note or present, the letter was far more descriptive, but the penmanship remained the same. As Anna delicately removed it from the glass and unfolded it, her hand shook. The first line of the letter thanked her once more for her generosity. Then, however, things changed. I understand that you're curious about who I am and why I'm doing this. Actually, I've been observing for a while. I wanted to let you know how much your generosity has meant, without alarming you. More than you may ever know, you saved my life that day. As Anna read further, her heart pounded. The letter continued by explaining that the writer had been in a terrible place, feeling lost and hopeless while battling personal demons. However, her choice to sit with him and converse, a small act of kindness, had transformed everything. The letter went on. I was going to commit suicide that evening, but your words gave me hope that someone was watching out for me, as if I were no longer alone. I had a reason to wait because of you. As Anna read the last few lines, tears welled up in her eyes. I realize this may all seem odd, but I had to share with you how much of an influence you had on me. I will always remember what you did. The necklace serves as a tiny memento of my appreciation and a reminder that, even when you're not aware of it, compassion can save lives. Never cease being who you are, please. Although the letter wasn't signed, Anna didn't require one by the time she had done reading it. She recognized Tom. Her tiny act altered everything for him, even though he had never expressed how severely he was struggling. Anna held the letter in her hands as she sat in her car for a long time. She found it hard to comprehend that something as basic as listening and saying a few words of consolation had such a significant impact. She hadn't recognized the impact of her acts since she had been preoccupied with her own routine and problems. The strong sense of duty persisted even after the mystery was solved. Even though her act of compassion was brief at the time, Anna came to understand that it had had unanticipated consequences. It was one chat that had saved Tom's life. The significance of the letter and the notes diminished as she drove home that evening, giving way to a fresh realization. Her words and deeds have purpose, and she would keep it in mind going forward, understanding that even the most basic deeds of compassion have the power to transform lives.